Hey, before we get started, let's talk about the official beer sponsor of the show. And you guys out there listening already know it's Miller Lite, because lots changed over the years. One thing that hasn't, and it's the great taste of Miller Lite. Another thing that hasn't changed is that it's less filling. So what is the best thing about the original light beer? Miller Lite sparked this debate in 1975, and we still haven't settled it. Miller Lite keeps it simple. Undebatable quality, great taste, only 96 calories. It's a beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that tastes like beer. Less filling and only 96 calories. The original light beer since 1975. Are you team great taste or less filling? I know that's a big thing to think about, but I do kind of want to ask.
I'm glad I don't have to choose, thanks to Miller Lite. I had some last night. But for me, it's got to be the less filling.
Okay.
Yeah, especially in the summer. Mm-hmm. You want a light beer that's less filling in the summer.
I like that because I'm team great taste.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when I'm absolutely forced to have other beers, like, you go to stadiums that don't sell it.
Yeah.
It's not as an enjoyable experience.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, y'all, it automatically ruins the day.
So I miss
it.
it.
Miller Stadium.
Yes.
Awful.
Yeah.
I miss that great taste when they're not at a stadium.
Yeah, I was at a state. I was somewhere where somebody bought me a beer in a pint glass and handed it to me, and it was they told me it was a Miller Lite. I'm like, oh, like this is kind of I don't know, something's off with this. Like it's like a skunked beer or something. Turns out they were pulling a prank. It wasn't a Miller Lite at all. So that's what it is for me. Like I'm so used to that great taste that I can identify it. And if it's not that Miller Lite, that crisp, refreshing Miller Lite that you know and love, my alarm bells go off.
Disappointing.
My taste buds send like an emergency signal to my brain.
Scumbag move.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is you don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/midshow, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Just make sure you celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories per 12 ounces, fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer. And on that note, all right, Bang Bang, welcome to the Mid Show. Later on in the show, we will be joined by auto racer. He's doing NHRA in Chicago next week. Tony Stewart. You guys remember from NASCAR and everything?
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I know there's probably
it's the Home Depot car.
Yeah. I know there's probably not a ton of crossover with our audience and auto racing, but it was a really enjoyable interview, I thought.
And we didn't just talk car racing.
No, we talked about his hunting lodge that he's got. If you have never done yourself the service.
What did we say it was? 22 million, something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
And he's like, that's a fair price. We had it listed too high before. Now it's like 22 million is the number.
And that's in Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yes, good point, Dave. Like 22 million.
22 million should be able to like buy you Indianapolis.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the Colts Stadium.
Yeah, exactly. Like you could you could buy the whole state of Indiana besides like South Bend and Indianapolis.
Yeah.
You get all of Indiana. Mm-hmm. But you're right. Just do yourself the service of Googling what that hunting lodge, that mansion looks like. He had the guy from Bass Pro help him build it and design it. So it was really cool, fascinating to hear about that. And then even the racing talk that we got to towards the end was not like hard to follow. It was pretty interesting. So I think you guys will enjoy that. That'll be coming up in a little bit. But first things first, we could rip it off with the Chicago Cubs. I had the experience of a lifetime on Monday. I went to the game with Marty, and after the game, Steele got me on the field. That sounded like a rhyme, but it wasn't. First time, like I've been like on the dirt, right when you walk in. But then,
how far out on the field did you walk?
So they had
go to the mound or anything?
Didn't go to the mound because they were watering it down and they were dragging the fields already. But like usually they just let you on the dirt where like you could like take a picture and then it's roped off.
Right.
But like when we got to go under that rope was unreal. And then so got to touch the ivy, and my main takeaway is that it is so fucking big.
The stadium?
Like when you're there in left field and you look up and you're like, oh my God, like this is so much ground to cover. Like this is such a big
if you have to be Ian Happ or Bellinger or something.
Like couldn't imagine playing in that stadium. And like the ivy's so shiny up close. Like it's almost fake.
I think they probably paint it like at Augusta.
Sure they do, David. Just try to take shots at Wrigley.
That's exactly what I was doing. That is what I was doing. Caught me.
But it was truly like an amazing experience.
Yeah.
So thank you to Justin Steele.
Dude, he's the man.
He is.
So glad he's back.
Yeah.
Dealt in that game too. We shouldn't skip over that.
Yeah, no, we'll get into that for sure. I just kind of want to get in. Like, an easy jumping off point.
And it's one of those things too, where like you've probably been to Wrigley like 100 times plus in your life, but that's like a totally unique, and it's like you see it from a new way, and it like adds to like how much more special like that place is.
Totally.
Because I've been on the field at the old Texas Rangers. I'm like, oh, that's cool, but it's not.
Yeah. Like going there with my dad, like first time in the 90s, obviously, like watching fucking Roosevelt Brown botch fly balls in left field and just being in that same spot. And I was like, holy shit. Like Sammy used to run. It was really cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And it's obviously I wish I would have did a little run into the wall, see if I would have cracked my ribs like Bellinger, like just to really feel it. Cause how they say like the wall is not a cushiony, like the
should have thrown your keys.
Bricks, Ed.
Yeah.
I know.
It's made of bricks.
Should have thrown your keys in there and been like, well, no wonder this is a ground rule double. Can't find this shit anywhere. Yeah.
Low key, so fucking cool. Like I know we were like
high key.
We take it for granted.
High key.
Like baseball just does it different. Where
the
fucking stadium that the outfield is just covered in ivy. I don't know.
It's a truly unique and special place.
Yeah, I sound like a high pothead right now, but I'm
it's
like,
fine.
I know it was like a weird, I don't know, realization. It was really cool. So thanks to Justin Steele for getting us out there. Go listen to that show with him and Marty. It's called Steal the Show. They're talking everything. And then, like you said, more importantly, rather than me like being starstruck by the beauty of Wrigley Field, he looked great in his return outing.
We talked about being starstruck on the mid show on Tuesday when you were out. I don't really get starstruck by people. I would be starstruck by Wrigley, by like an inanimate object.
Yeah. And it was funny because I was on there with Marty too.
Yeah.
And like we were talking to Steele's wife and everything, and they're like, oh, like whatever. And then once she found out, they're like, I'm not like Marty. And I was like an actual Cubs fan, like born and raised in Chicago. Like it's my first time on Wrigley. She's like, oh my god, like you want to like go touch the ivy? So you should do a somersault and a cartwheel. All stuff. Like I'm good on that.
Well, that was one of my favorite things to do as a kid. Was like you and a buddy would start at home plate and run around the bases opposite. Like that's what, like if I got on the field, like that's what I would want to do. I'd want to run the bases.
Yeah, just run the bases.
Yeah.
The Kane County Cougars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For sure. White Sox Dave's looking at me like it's just a baseball stadium, you loser.
I mean, I've been on Wrigley Field 1,000 times.
On the field?
1,000 times?
I've been 5 feet from Dan or Bob Weir.
That's different though.
It is different.
Because I was on the field for
when I was like 10. They had I want to say a family day, and for some reason I went with like as a White Sox fan, and it was like a kids camp basically. And I mean it's not like you were touching the forbidden fruit really.
Yeah, like
I get it.
You could pay for a tour, but Dave, it was at the point where the only people on that stadium were me, Marty, Steele, his wife, and the grounds crew.
Yeah,
and it was
that's
awesome.
cool.
And it was dark. Like they're not really doing those tours at night.
Yeah.
Like, those are all during the day. I don't know.
It's awesome.
Excuse me, Dave.
No. Congrats on having fun.
Well, look,
at baseball stadium.
You have to also remember,
This guy.
Dave is dead inside.
Yeah,
he's dead inside. The White Sox have killed him. They've stolen all of his joy.
Yeah.
That's the way it
and
is.
I mean, hey, like we are.
I even thought it was cool when we did it in like sub-zero temperatures that first year we went to. They had like the speed pitch competition at
Sox Park.
At Sox Park, and we like we did polls. You and I did polls. Mm-hmm. Remember that? Like even so, just running on the warning track.
I hit a bomb at Sox Park one time. It was an all-star game for a fall league I was in, and I hit it off of St. Charles North kid who was D1 pitcher that ended up transferring in. I was his teammate at North Central.
Huh.
I actually think you probably know him.
What's his name?
His last name's Corrigan.
Oh yeah, I know that family.
Mm-hmm.
I know his sister.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was good too. Hit a bomb there, not to brag.
Yeah, his sister was
right
my
in the
age.
bullpen.
Not to brag.
Not to brag.
Well, good for you. But you're dead inside. Like I mean,
yeah, I'm very much dead inside.
I'll tell you.
I'm
right
the opposite.
Now, but
I'm not.
I'll be honest though. This bullpen keeps continuing the way they're going. We're about to be dead inside.
I need somebody smarter than me to explain to me why this is a bad idea. Maybe it's you, White Sox Dave.
Let's pull up Fangraphs.
When the whole starting staff is healthy, which they're getting there, like Wicks is supposed to be back in like a week or so, then you're kind of set. Steele, Shota, Tyone, Wicks, and Assad. Why not just, I don't know what their plan is with Ben Brown. Guy throws 98. He's got a crazy curve. Just let him be a 2-pitch guy this year and just make him the closer and just see if he can do it. Because right now, Adbert can't do it. He can't do it. So and Merriweather's out, and he's on the 60-day IL. So like they
I think he might have the yips, like
Who?
Adbert,
big time.
Yeah, he had a clean inning on Monday.
but he's not a
which
guy
was
you
nice.
trust anymore.
No, but he's not. I mean, he's not really not the closer anymore. Like Neris
Right.
is in, and he's done.
But he also had a
better,
blown
obviously.
save earlier in the week, no, it was on Friday. I was there. I was last Friday. I think the Cubs had the lead, and he choked it away.
Yeah,
So
no, I
I'm
know.
looking at these numbers now. Their bullpen has been really fucking bad.
I saw
Been awful.
I saw a
It's been
graphic
really
where it was
fucking bad.
like their starters ERA the last month or month plus something like that. It was like 0.71, and the bullpen ERA was like 7.4.
Yeah.
So
Their starting pitching is solely, for the most part, keeping them in this shit.
Yeah.
Because even the lineup is under.
everybody's been hurt, and it's like
Yeah.
Belly's back, and he immediately hits
Yeah,
a bomb.
like Haps had a slow start.
Yeah.
Bush fell back, plummeted back to earth.
Yeah.
He had the big one last night, though, so maybe he'll
Yeah.
get going again here. So
Swanson's been ass.
yeah, he's been but like I feel like Swanson will heat up. Like,
Yeah,
he
he'll be
will.
fine.
Yeah, he'll get to a spot where he's hitting.
260 with a decent on base. The
Right.
Cubs are fine.
Yeah,
And the
I think they're
bullpen will
more
shake itself out.
yeah.
To answer your, I mean, that's, I don't
Did
know.
you try that?
Sure. What do they have? I mean, the Cubs are trying to pack like 10 starting pitchers.
Right. That's what I mean. And Wicks is about
Yeah,
to be
right.
back.
So
you
yeah, why not? I mean, I don't. People will tell you that it's some huge adjustment going from. No, it's not.
Okay.
It's a fucking. You're throwing a baseball,
And it doesn't
If-
prevent him
if
from
you-
growing into a starter next year.
If
either.
you need like to, like have a development path going from starting baseball games or starting pitching to reliever, then you don't have the brain to be a big leaguer, in my opinion. You're a bitch.
and that's what the Sox.
You go out there and you fucking throw.
Sox
guess
did
I
that with
disagree
Sale too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but that was always the plan. I don't know if this was the plan for Brown with the Cubs, but like go and warm up and you throw strikes.
And the other
Get
thing
outs.
with like even if
I don't care
let's
where
say
it's
it's
from.
not the plan for Brown, I don't fucking care. Change the plan.
Exactly.
like
exactly,
you have
yeah.
a very
Right.
very good team right now.
You have an electric arm. You
Or you can
need
make a
the
move.
bullpen.
yeah,
Yeah,
Or
it's
that.
so early.
Make a
It's-
move.
there,
Yeah.
There's. I mean,
still like in a tie for first place with Milwaukee. It's not like the alarm bell. It's like it's something that's concerning.
Yeah.
But until it becomes like a problem where like, hey, we dipped to third in the standings, like
Yeah.
I think they're gonna be fine. They'll figure it out.
I do think I disagree with that though, Dave. I do think there is a large mental capacity with being a bullpen guy.
my point is if it's all the same muscle memory. You're on a mound that's 60 feet 6 inches. Go out there and get outs. And if like teams baby their players is my point. It's like like we were talking to Cole or whoever we were talking about the Bears. If you're flipping from right tackle to left tackle, that's like a mirror. That's completely different. This is just like you're prepping a little different, but it's something you've done your entire baseball career.
Go out and throw.
But why is it once you get to the major leagues or to professional baseball, they like stop doing that?
Yeah, and
You know,
I wonder if it's one like
go out and get outs.
go out and get outs, but it's like are you because you only have to get 3 outs.
Oh, that's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Kopech he's 100-101 right now.
Right.
But
'Cause
as a
you're
starter,
gonna let it rip a little
yeah,
bit more.
exactly.
Yeah.
You're gonna let it rip.
I think it's the unknown and always have to be ready. Like that's a difference.
See, Ed's babying these guys.
I'm just telling you.
You
though,
go
that's-
out and you if
Dude,
you're a
I'm
starting
telling you,
pitcher
I
and
just-
you have that, you're like, oh man, like I don't know when it's gonna fuck me up when I actually do get it on the mound. Then you're a bitch. And you
I
shouldn't be in the
legitimately
big
just
leagues.
talked to Steele about this on Monday after the game. We went to dinner and we're like talking about everything because Marty's like, it's got to be awesome to be a starter. Like you have your start and then you got the next 5 days off.
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
Yeah.
that's got to be awesome. He's like, yeah. He's like, it's obviously a big advantage. Like a lot of these bullpen guys, they are just constantly living in like the anxiety because they don't know when they're ready. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're just they're night
He
before.
used the word anxiety.
Not anxiety.
Exactly. That was an Ed word, and I knew that because Ed would be a bitch being like, oh my God, when am I going to go? When am I going to go? I guarantee you, if I had this conversation with Justin Steele, it'd be way, way different than what you're describing. Because Justin Steele would be like, no, and I'm just getting the ball, I'm throwing the ball. But I'm saying the teams are going to look at it different. Like, I would say maybe Jed Hoyer would be
Right.
like, oh, we don't want him transitioning from starting to relieving. I don't know if that is the case, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is. In the end, the pitcher should have no issue whatsoever going from one role to the other like that.
And Ben Brown's been good too.
And especially a cocky-ass young kid like him, which
doesn't know.
I would imagine, I don't know anything about the guy, but I'd imagine he's got some swagger, you know.
Yeah, and this is like a huge meatball thing to say. I love the idea of a guy who throws 98, 6'6", just jogging out from the bullpen.
Yeah,
you know, with
that's
the music blaring. It's like
gamesmanship in the mental.
And then it's like, so you're like, oh fuck, like,
right.
You know, like we've been, you know, facing Steele or whoever, and you know they throw hard, but it's not like this. So like you've been timing up a different speed of pitch, and then you have this fucking flamethrower coming in to shut the door. I think it's. If they can't find another solution, I think that's something they have to try once Wicks comes back, and they don't need that, you know, Brown in the 5th spot.
I wonder if they'll look at it. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, then. We'll get to Tony Stewart here. Before we do, though, I want to talk to you guys about Vanderhagen razors. Okay, so make the switch from a cartridge razor to a safety razor today with Vanderhagen. Safety razors allow you to get a closer, more comfortable shave. The use of one-blade razors help prevent nicks and cuts while making your skin feel smoother than ever. The best part, these blades cost as little as $1 a piece and last anywhere from 3 to 5 shaves. This will save you thousands of dollars over the years compared to the cost of cartridge razors. The blades are ice-tempered stainless steel blades from Germany that are sharp enough to give you the perfect shave. The handle is made to last a lifetime, so the only recurring purchase you will have is for blades. Go get some Vanderhagen razors. I said raisins.
Yeah, raisins are good too, but that's not what we're talking about.
I don't want a raisin face.
No.
There you go. Good point, Dave.
So I'm going to use Vanderhagen.
There you go. Good point.
Nice, clean shave. Do that German.
And just trim it up. Like I didn't have one on me today, so I had to use like the little buzzer, and I got like stubble when I'm trying to like just have those edges. If you have those German engineered Vanderhagen razors and all the creams and everything, you're going to be looking sharp. Even if you have a beard, you always want to have it shaped the right way. So go out and get it.
What you need, check out your local Target and Rite Aid to get yourself a Vanderhagen safety razor today. All right, let's get to Tony Stewart as well as Leah, his wife.
Yeah.
It's great too. She's a racer. She's his coach now. So fun interview. Send it over, Dave.
Whoosh.
All right, now we're in the interview portion of the show. We are joined by Tony Stewart and Leah Pruett. NHRA is coming to Chicago May 17th, so we're going to be talking about that. Welcome in, guys. Thanks for doing this.
No, thanks for having us.
Of course, very cool.
Yeah, we're pumped. So basically, we were talking beforehand, and obviously, everyone knows the famous ranch you guys have in the Indiana. So like we're like, how can we become friends with them? So they invite us to the ranch. So like, let's be friends these next 20 minutes, and then like, let's go.
I got my bow in the trunk right now.
It's a good time to go because it's turkey season right now.
That's right. I'm going next week.
And they are everywhere on our ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is it's like they must have an email system because as soon as opening day starts, then you don't see any.
Yep, they know.
But the day before and the day after season ends, see them all day.
I've always asked that because we have Sydney Wells who does our hunting content, Barstool Outdoors. So Dave and I have done turkeys with her in Nebraska, and then we go down to her farm to do deer, and they just behave differently. They're smart. They know.
Yeah.
It's like they can tell. We got to move the dates or opening day around. Trick these turkeys around.
We've got someone there right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a guy hunting today.
Are you into it, Leah, or are you just kind of like, I'll go to the pool?
The pool? We don't have a pool.
Oh, no?
I mean, it's a multi-million-dollar ranch, no pool.
You don't need a pool.
There's a 9
Big
acre
oversight.
It's a
You know
9
what?
acre pool.
I don't even want it anymore.
No. You guys probably have like a nice stream or creek or lake or
No,
something.
they got a big
We got a lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go fishing in it. But
paddle boards I saw.
paddleboarding,
Yep.
I'm not a hunter. I like to shoot with the bow, but I learned that actually a year ago when we had some of our crew guys over at the house, and during the day Tony's like, oh, there's a duck. Wasn't a doe. It was a buck.
We took the guys and we had our company Christmas party, so all the guys came. Well, they got there right before dark, so we never left the house. So some of them had stayed, and the next day we went driving around and looking for deer, and this big buck is just laying in the grass there. And I'm like, I couldn't tell if it was the one that I had my eye on, one that was the one that I was looking for. So wasn't sure, but I'm like, well, let's go back to the house, grab the gun just in case. And then when I went back, I'm like, it's not the one, but he's really nice and close, and bang. And then Leah goes, all right, she's going to go with me to track this thing. I have a really funny video of her going and finding the deer, and she wasn't near as excited when she got there as she was going up to it. And so she's hugging a tree. So it's like, that's our California tree hugger right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Whoa. We don't claim
Did you-
California.
Did you have any of the backstraps or anything later?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We don't waste
Well,
meat.
what about her?
Well, no, I mean, we eat the meat.
Yeah, okay, all right, yeah.
on-
I meant you specifically. I figured.
No, I will.
She's
I mean,
in.
Yeah, okay.
I'm all the way
right.
in. But just for me, actually, I think that was the first time I had been around what was a living animal and now a dead animal. And by
We call that dinner.
well, we did. Yes, Tony makes great chili. Actually, it's the only thing he makes.
Is that right?
But it's fantastic.
Venison
Big
chili.
chili guy, huh?
Yeah, I like. We have elk on our property too, so we big ass crazy elk, and they're eating all of our landscaping bushes around the edge of the house. So it's like they got bullseyes on their back with me. We are going to fight at some point.
Uh-huh.
Are you a
Again-
skyline chili guy?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't care what part of the country, where I'll eat chili anywhere.
I like
anywhere, anytime, breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Tony
does
Stewart,
not
come
matter.
in.
Not to brag, but I have an award-winning chili. Top chef champion Joe
I would
Flam.
love to judge it for you.
All right, well, bring it over to the place.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
I'll cook it up for you.
Yeah, you're
We'll
right.
have a little cook-off.
Yep.
Who likes whose chili better?
You know what? We'll do it in your kitchen. So you can have home field advantage.
Yeah.
That'll be
We'll-
fine.
We'll allow you
Yeah.
that. That sounds fair.
Yeah. Is it true? Like, you ever heard Joe Rogan talk about the elk meat, where it's like you just feel like you get your testosterone pumping after you eat it? Like it's just like this miracle meat.
It
Do you
definitely
agree with
has
that?
a different flavor to
Yeah,
it, for sure.
Do you
It's-
feel like better, like as opposed to? He says it's just like you have more energy, you have more everything after you have that, as opposed to like a steak, a regular beef steak.
Well, I think the determining factor for me that skews what he's talking about is when I make my chili, I eat till I feel like a swollen tick.
Yeah.
So like I physically cannot eat anymore, but I want to.
Yeah.
And he puts beer in the chili, so I don't know
Oh,
how
that's a
much
nice
that might
touch.
offset.
Now you're giving away our secrets here. And we
I
got a
didn't say what
competition
kind
going.
or how much.
Leah, what kind of beer is
Nothing.
it?
What?
Okay, all right.
American Rebel.
Okay.
There we go.
Here's Miller Lite.
There we go.
What all do you hunt? Just deer and turkey, or do you?
We got deer, elk, and
Well, you
and
got
the
you said the
turkey.
elk too. Mhm. What's
Is
your
it-
favorite of the three?
I like the deer hunting.
It's
Yeah.
it's unmatched. It's
I haven't-
unmatched.
I'm 0 for 3 seasons. I've never got one. I've never got a deer.
I've never got a turkey.
Well, I'll trade you.
Because every time I've went turkey hunting, you get up at 4 a.m. It's
Yep.
dark out. You're tired. You go sit at the base of a tree, and the first thing you do is fall right back asleep
You fall asleep in the woods?
immediately.
Really? I've never done that.
I can't do that. My heart's like, you hear anything, like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, is that something?
Yeah.
What's that? What was that? What was that twig?
Well, we're still so new to it.
Yeah, that's
too,
true, too.
So.
But it's still at 4 o'clock in the morning. There is no sound. The only sound you hear is yourself snoring.
It's like, yeah.
So it's-
like people
there's nothing
record that
going
for
on
like
yet.
the sleep tracks,
Yeah,
audio
yeah.
tracks. Yeah.
Right. Is it odd that like there's so many pictures blasted of the place, like on the internet and stuff?
It was kind of odd the first time that we put it on the market.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
like it just went crazy, and that's when the real estate market was just through the roof and stupid. And it's like, let's just see how stupid people really are. So now the price is in a range where it's like, yeah, we're not really coming off of this price. This is what it cost
Now
to build it. You could not build it. You couldn't have built it for the 30 that we put on the first time.
Yeah.
But it's really cool. I mean, I'm really good friends with Johnny Morris from Bass Pro Shops, and
It
his
kind of
staff.
looks like a Bass Pro on the inside a little
Well,
bit.
there's a reason for
Okay,
that.
yeah.
Because his group did both the fish tank and the stream that's inside the
Okay.
house. So
Yeah.
it's but the difference is between what he does at Bass Pro Shops and what we did in the house. All the rock that you see is actual rock
Oh,
inside
really?
the house. It's not faux rock.
It is beautiful.
So-
Spectacular. Is it fenced?
It is.
It is. Okay.
We had to fence not for the animals, but to keep the people out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I bet people.
Oh, poach. Yeah.
Was it just like?
well, we had
insane?
that, but we also had we had crazy people that would sit at our gate.
Crazy
Oh, that too.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we've had to call the sheriffs and say, hey,
See, we could house it
come out
for
and
you
talk to this
too.
person for a second.
Yeah,
So-
we talking more fans or enemies that would show up?
no, just fans.
Oh, fans.
Yeah.
All right. So
But-
Remember,
kinda
it is a
off
hunting
center.
preserve, so I don't think
Yeah.
the enemies would really.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
You're a dumbass.
Right.
This is not the
Early,
place.
they're smart enough to realize we're probably pretty good at that too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because you're trying to get out of there, right? Is that you're trying to move?
We're when I met Leah's a big wake surfer, so
Gotcha.
you know the lake that we have behind the house isn't really big enough to do that. So ultimately, it would be nice.
It's
To,
all your fault.
Are you pinning this on me?
No, not
What?
at all.
Whoa,
Because
bus
now I'm
driving.
I'm into wake surfing as well. So you know, we would like to have a place where we could go to the race shop on the west side of Indianapolis, and then go home, drop the boat in the water, go surf for an hour, hour and a half, come back, take a shower, go to dinner. So.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
we're
the plan.
ultimately not using the property as it's really built for.
Yeah.
I mean, how many thousand square feet is it?
It's about 16,000 square feet. and
Right,
it's
414
2 of us.
acres.
So
2 of us, the staff it takes to run the property and take care of the maintenance of the animals, and so
Yeah, it's a lot.
it's a lot.
It's a ton.
So
But you're Midwest till you die. Like you're staying in Indy. Like you guys want to stay in Indy.
we have a place in Lake Havasu City, Arizona as well. So, you take the fact that we're going to be there from October through March or April. So there's half of your year. And then the other half of the year, cut that in half because the rest of the time we're on the road and hotels and living out of a suitcase. So to her point, it just doesn't make sense to have that big of a ranch and only be there maybe a quarter of the year at most.
Yeah, it's tough.
But yes, we would stay in Indy. So our team, the drag race team, is based in Brownsburg, Indiana. So that's right outside of Indianapolis. So we'll stay in that area once we find something.
Yeah. Are you like Tony? Are you like you just go, huh? Like it feels like you never
Nonstop.
stopped. Do you still like enjoy it as much as when you started, or is it kind of like a job at this point?
No, and we were kind of talking about it yesterday. And one of our crew guys, Sunday, we raced in Charlotte for the weekend. So literally left Charlotte on Sunday night, went back to Columbus, Indiana, stayed at the ranch yesterday. We haven't been there for 6.5 weeks.
Jeez.
We were there yesterday, and then we're in Chicago today. We're going to Arizona tonight. So it's just nonstop like that. And the guys, they have a busy schedule being on the road because all the guys that work on the cars, they drive the rigs, they set up the pit, tear the pit down, work on the cars, service everything. And they're like, we don't know how you guys do it. And I kind of laughed because I'm just used to it. She's like, I've had enough of this. I'm going home. I'm taking a week and a half. You go do whatever you want to go do. She just lets me run amok.
How different is the process for getting ready for the drag race versus NASCAR stock car?
It's drastically different. And literally in my career, I've raced for over 40 years now and driven everything from IndyCar to NASCAR, sports cars, sprint cars on dirt, you name it, everything in between. And it's all kind of fits in the same bubble, but some are over here on this side and some are over here or up there. The drag racing deal, it's like Fantasy Island. I tell people, I'm like, I expect to pull into a drag race, an NHRA event, and see Tattoo in a white tuxedo going, "Welcome to the races," But it's just that different from everything that we've ever done in motorsports. And the good thing about having your wife as your driver coach is it's kind of like when we were in high school and you had to read books and you went and got the Cliff Notes version and skipped over the stuff you didn't know, but focused on the variables that you did need to know. So, having her and her experience and 25 years of experience in drag racing and coming in as a 52-year-old rookie this year in Top Fuel, it's great to have her as a driver coach. And she knows the standard I want to be as a driver and the level that I hold myself to. And, she doesn't let anything slide. If there's something that I did 90% right and there's 10% I can be better at, she absolutely picks that apart and helps me be better because she knows I'm not going to be happy until I can do it 100%.
Is the pre-race like adrenaline rush because it's such a quick? Is that more like you have to be more focused because you don't have an opportunity to make up for it later?
You're exactly spot on that. That's the
I might know more about racing than I thought I did.
Well, but you're on track there. Yeah. The hardest thing is, you go for a NASCAR race, you go to Martinsville or Bristol, and it's 500 laps.
Yeah.
You make a mistake on one corner, that's half of one lap.
Yeah.
And you're going to have pit stops. You're going to have a lot of variables that are going to change during the race. A drag race, it is like backyard basketball. It's make it, take it, miss it, kiss it. There's no mulligans. There's no, I'll fix it the next lap. If you get beat on Sunday in the first round because you did something wrong or the car did something wrong, you're packing up.
That's it.
So, it's
higher
to your
stakes
point.
To a degree.
And I think a variable that people don't understand is, we get done at the racetrack and literally on Friday and Saturday, you make 2 runs. Well, that's less than 8 seconds from the time you hit the gas till you throw the parachutes. And people are like, why are you tired when you leave the track? because your adrenaline spike is so much higher than it is in a cup car, because you know you're going to be in the cup car for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
So it's going to get up there, but it's not going to be quite as high because it's sustained for such a long period of time. Where when we get in the car, if you go around, like when we come run Joliet, you're going to have adrenaline spike, and then it's going to go down, and then the next round you're going to go up and down. So every one of those spikes and that routine, it just drains you. That adrenaline cycle takes a big toll on you.
That sounds a little bit like deer hunting too.
Hey, that's what I was
kind of sitting, waiting, and then you hear something, your senses are up, and you kind of wait for it to come out, and then you either have a shot or you don't. You have to get ready to take the shot. So it does kind of. So you're like probably pretty obviously say you're an adrenaline junkie.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
We are adrenaline junkies.
Yeah.
Are you going to take it to like the air or anything? Like you're on 4 wheels now, or I guess is a
I thought you meant the car. Take it to the air.
No, I meant like air sports. There's like, what's next? What can you possibly find an adrenaline fix in next?
So everybody that jokes around, they say, well, we're going to see you in a boat. I'm like, absolutely not, because you see boats crash. They crash way harder than anything.
They go
on
like
land
50
does.
feet in the air sometimes on those speedboats.
They'll catch wind.
Well,
yeah.
Or if it catches the water, it grabs in the water. So it just, once it grabs a hold of it, it just rips everything apart. Where at least when you're on a racetrack, it slides across the pavement.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan of. I don't have any desire to be in a boat, something I can drown in if it goes wrong. Airplanes are kind of the same thing. Something goes wrong there, you don't just pull off the side of the road and get out and go, man, that sucks.
So no skydiving for you guys then either?
I have done it, but they sedated me really well.
Okay. Oh, really? I didn't know that, because I've always been
Scared of
interested in that too. Oh, okay.
Not a hike guy.
Scared of heights.
Yeah.
Did not like it at all. I enjoyed it once the chute came out and I knew I had a better shot at not dying. I felt a lot better about it.
What's the dynamic like when you guys are done? Do you guys have like a rule, like, hey, once we get back to the house, we're not talking race? Like, we're not. Like, there has to be some type of divide.
You're really
right?
close.
We
Very
did.
close.
We did get into that, and actually,
It's a safe word.
It started.
That's for me though, not her.
Let's talk about like the longest story ever, right? Drag racing, top fuel racing is 3.7 seconds long from start to finish from the throttle, right? When Tony and I flew from Indiana to Vegas so we could drive to Havasu on our basically be our second date, that's a 2.5 hour drive. We spent that entire 2.5 hours going through the procedure of that one run.
I said, walk me through an entire run from the time that they start the engine till you climb out of the car. A 3.7 second run. And it took
We had already got home.
The entire 2 hour and 20-minute drive, plus we went to the bar that night and it went on another 30 minutes after that before we got through it. Because every time we get to something, I'm like,
You had a question.
I think I understand that, but don't go any further yet. Explain that. And then once I understood it, I wanted to know exactly what it was like. Because as race car drivers, you can imagine a baseball player and a football player being at dinner together and talking to each other about their respective silos of sports.
It's
so
that different, huh?
Drastically different. It's like she said, you drive 3.7 seconds, but the actual run itself takes 2 minutes from the time they start it till you turn off the racetrack. So it's not just about what you do for that 3.7 seconds. There's a whole procedure that when they start that thing, you're in control of an 11,000 horsepower car. That is the first 5 rows of the Daytona 500 combined. And you're in charge of that, and you're holding the brake with one hand over here. So if you accidentally blurp the throttle and the car moves, you have crew chiefs in front, you have crew guys behind the tires. There's a lot that you're responsible for. So I really wanted to understand from her perspective what it was like. And that really stemmed from an article that I read, an interview that she had done, and somebody asked her what she thought the difference was between a NASCAR Cup car and what she did in a top fuel car. And I think it's the most brilliant answer I've ever heard anybody talk about from drag racing to NASCAR. She goes, what they do in NASCAR in 3.5 hours, we do in 3.5 seconds. And she's right. I've even talked to our NASCAR drivers and I said, you know how you guys make split-second decisions. And I was in that boat too. So I know exactly what they're like. They're like, yeah. I said, all right, take your split-second decision, and we make a split-second decision off of that. That's how fast, because you're driving a car that in the first 60 feet is already running 100 miles an hour.
How much different is the skill of the driver how much more does that matter versus the car? Like,
I was figuring.
have you like won and lost the race before you even started sometimes with the car, and because it's only 3 point whatever.
I feel like he hasn't. You just finished your 5th race of the season, so there hasn't been that many opportunities.
Okay.
It's only actually 5 races besides qualifying. So
What are you saying? I haven't had enough opportunities to screw it up yet?
yes, and I'm hoping that we talk about this in like 2030 or something, if that ever happens. But hopefully that's way farther down. But before answering that, I want to get back to this. So just like that was really long-winded, just like our second date conversation, is after a while, and Tony got to test my top fuel car in 2021, I think it was. And he had so many questions about it, and we would talk about it all the time, from the performance of the car, the tune of it, to his procedure. And so at one point, I remember we were in bed in Indy, and I was just like, all right, that's it. All right, rule is when our heads hit the pillow, we stop racing. So, and he doesn't love that rule, because when his head hits the pillow, his mind starts racing, like all the thoughts, and wants to talk about it some more. So we still talk about racing in bed too, but it's not bothersome because we love it so much.
Yeah.
And it's our life, right? As Tony, as a team owner, I drove for Tony for the last 2 years. That was a dynamic. And now technically he's driving for me as my replacement. And he's an excellent student. So I think it's way cool. Like, it's really awesome.
Yeah.
I had some apprehension driving for him the first time that I messed up, as that question was. I'd lost on a hole shot. It was quite a number of races into the first year, but man, like, no one's going to be harder on yourself than yourself.
Yeah.
And I came from a team owner prior to that was like seriously hard on their drivers. And I didn't know how my husband was going to be on me.
Yeah.
And he was the most supportive. It wasn't like, oh, baby, it's going to be okay. He knew exactly how it feels to suck, and that you're not happy with it. And so he's not going to be any harder on me than I am myself. And so when I saw that wraparound support of like, well, you messed up this one time. This isn't a habit, and let's work on to make it better and move on. And like, that little like fear just only happened for that quick second. And from that moment, I knew I actually became more fearless in racing. Instead of racing out of like fear of messing up, I got to eliminate that based on how he treated me as my team owner, to being more aggressive, more confident, more feeling like I'm more powerful than 11,000 horsepower, which is what I needed to feel to be able to do well. So now I just get to feel a whole bunch of like happiness, excitement, a little bit of nervousness on the line when he's racing, but only from a position of working with the team and how much I want us to win.
Playing not to lose instead of playing to win. Big difference.
Huge.
Massive.
Do you guys, does it like bleed over into your social lives? Like, you're whipping around in like dune buggies or 4-wheelers on the ranch, and you got like, you rev the engine like you're on a motorcycle at a red light or something? Like, come on, it's on, let's go, let's do it.
Tony's racing all the time.
That's what I'm asking.
Beat you down the stairs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'd say all the
Beat
time.
you to the garage, yeah.
But he's always driving. Let's make that very clear right now. Tony's always driving.
There's kind of a reason for that. So, like she mentioned, our second date was out in Havasu, and it was literally supposed to be for 4 days. And that 4 days, because of COVID and the state of Indiana shut down for 2 weeks, and then they shut the whole month of April down for everybody. And so we were not necessarily, I wouldn't say stuck with each other, because we were like, this is kind of cool. And for us, and how busy our schedules are, how do you ever get a chance to know somebody with her schedule and her silo over here, my form of motorsports over here, and our paths barely cross at all. And so for us, it was a great thing. But
It was the best thing that happened to you guys.
Totally.
It really was. I mean, we're probably one of the few couples that you're ever going to meet that are going to say COVID was a great thing for us. So, but literally went out there, and she had a truck, and that's the only vehicle. So if you weren't with her, you weren't going anywhere. You were stuck. So we bought a side-by-side, because you can get them registered and plated. And so that was our second daily driver, was a side-by-side. We literally get the belt broke in, put like 25 miles in the belt. We finally go on a ride with this other couple that we quarantined with. I drove it for about, 20 minutes, half hour. And then, we're still new to each other and still learning each other. And I'm like, all right, she probably wants to drive too. She's a professional race car driver. So I said, hey, you want to drive? So we switched. And I knew in the first 30 seconds that we were going to get upside down. I'm like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when is this going to happen. No BS. 5 minutes later, we're laying on our side.
15.
No.
15. It wasn't 5. No. But I was overdriving 100%. And I think it's like, I am. I'm a race car driver too, and like I want to impress Tony. I think it's like
I was real impressed while I was sitting up on the side
and
like this.
I gotta say, whether it was 5 or 15 minutes doesn't make the story better for
No, it doesn't. That's a diversion tactic she uses on this story. But no, it was
the tires were bigger. It was a rock crawler edition. I wasn't used to it.
Yeah,
it was kind of when you're in sports, how you process information faster when your adrenaline's going. And literally, I remember when it started getting on two wheels and there was a split second, like in the movie where you see something going on and they do that real slow-mo and they're talking through what they're thinking. I was like, do I reach over and grab the wheel and make the move to set it back down? And then I'm like, no, this is
how do I want to die?
This is how we break up if we do this. So I just held on to what I was holding on to and just let it fall on its side. But the funny part was we were riding with 2 other vehicles, and we were the last car in the group. She unbuckles, bails out of it right away, and I'm like, I've been on my side and upside down in other race cars. I took my helmet off, took my seatbelts off. I'm getting ready to climb out, and she's trying to tip it back up. It's not even in park. We're on a hill still. She's going to flip this thing back on the wheels because she doesn't want them to know that.
Like no one's going to notice. We're missing a fender.
Is ripped off of the car. It's got scratches like Godzilla has ripped the side of the car off.
So embarrassed.
And I'm like, she's going to tip this thing over, and I'm going to go flying down the hill with no helmet, no seatbelts.
Buckle back up.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I'm going to get hurt in this thing. So I drive most of the time.
Yeah.
That's it. I'll drive.
You can drive on the track.
So that was the second date. I don't know what day this was for you guys, but now I'm intrigued by the first date. What was that about?
Oh man. Well, okay. The first date was, we were both in Memphis, and wait.
No, it's not the first date.
That's not the first date.
Gainesville.
Sorry, that's right. Sorry, we met via at an event, both of our partners, and that's where we met. But after that, I was in Gainesville racing. He was in Alabama racing, I believe, sprint cars. Either way, we've been texting for a little bit, and I mentioned I have Monday off. Tuesday, I got to go to Vegas. Got Monday to kill, and he's like, I got Monday to kill too. I'm gonna drive on over. Race ends at about midnight. 6-hour drive, get there at 6 a.m. I'm going to sleep till noon. And in my mind, I'm thinking, sure, okay. I had been dating for a little while, and like the dating scene is like, first of all, you got to like show up, do what you say you're going to do. That's a big thing. And I'm like, well, let's see if he says what he's going to do, And he did. I knocked on his motorhome door. He drove the motorhome with his 2 dogs and knocked on it at like 12:01. I had got done with the run that morning. And he's like, you're here at 12:01. Like,
you're late.
If anyone knows Tony time, like
I was like, 101 would have been better.
So we mull around. We go to get some Mexican food. We're like, well, what do we do now? By the afternoon, and I'm like, you ever been to Daytona Bike Week? He's like, no. I'm like, me neither. So we went and got a couple, I don't know, props or so to speak. We're new. We don't want people seeing us together.
Yeah.
Like, what are this, not cool, not fun, doesn't work out. So we go to a special store and I get some like fishnets and I've got a wig. I think it's a blue wig. And we go to Dick's and you got a
I got an Under Armour sweatshirt and hat.
That's as much incognito.
Great disguise.
I stuck out like a sore thumb. So
we take an Uber down there and meet up with a friend. He had a bike lined up and it was totally rocking. Like, it just lined up bikes just everywhere. If you've ever been, beautiful weather. We close out the night with some fun clubs and then take an Uber back. So we get back at about 5 a.m. or so. And I have a flight to catch at 6:30 or something like that. So that was fun to get back on that. Yeah. And so that was our first date was completely impromptu. Our second date, like, lasted 4 months. A road trip. Yeah. And so we've had a beautiful relationship. Everything's grown out of it. Now we know a lot of people had terrible times during COVID. So like, we don't like celebrate COVID in that time. But yeah, we like to keep, thought of spontaneity just going.
Yeah, I'm going to Myrtle Beach Bike Week in May, so I might need some tips on how to survive that because I'm kind of nervous. People out there
Just drink heavily.
Yeah, that's the
how
only
you
thing you
survive.
got to do.
I had that covered. I just need
That
to
works for most things.
Just don't ride the bike at the same time.
Yeah.
So.
don't do that. Yeah, Tony, Leah, it's been great to have you guys in.
No,
Thank
we
you so
appreciate
much.
it. We love what we do. Obviously, we're excited about coming back to Joliet and running May 17th through the 19th at the Route
It's
66
awesome down there,
Nationals.
too.
So it's my first time getting to. I'll finally completed the trifecta. I've raced at the 1.5 mile track. I've raced at the dirt track that's literally right beside the drag strip there on the property, and now we'll get a chance to run the drag strip too. So excited to do that and carry my coach with me. And if I screw up, she'll tell me I screwed up.
Beautiful.
whip, right?
People can
That's
get
just
tickets on nhra.com. Come on out May 17th through 19th at looks like so Joliet, Elwood, that's the same thing. And then anything else you want to get out there before we wrap up?
I think it's super awesome to say that every ticket's a pit pass for those that haven't gone. That gives you access everywhere to the drivers, to the teams as they're tearing apart the engines from supercharger down to clutch, tires, all that. And also, kids 12 and under get in free. So
Nice.
You don't have to be a car guru to enjoy the professional drag races.
I've been to drag. I was probably 13, 14 years old, like early high school, late middle school maybe, and I went to a drag race there. It was awesome. We snuck a bunch of booze in. My parents did, I should say. I didn't. They hit Miller
Your story.
Lite
You tell it however you want.
I was young. That was like 3 years after that, but.
I think what I emphasize to people about NHRA and drag racing is, I've been a part of NASCAR for a long time, and I feel like if you're just going to the race, it's way better to watch a NASCAR race on TV because you get to hear the radio chatter, you can see the telemetry, the replays, all that. There is nothing like being at a drag race because you're going to smell things you've never smelled with nitromethane. The concussion, when they hit the gas, you literally feel your insides move, and it is so hard to explain to people what that feels like. But the fun part this year has been seeing the NASCAR fans that have followed us to the drag racing side, and they're like, we had no idea how cool this was. So seeing new fans and they're like, oh, well, we're still not. I'm like, you can be fans of both. You don't have to just pick one thing. So it's cool to see NASCAR fans coming and experiencing something new. And for people that are car people that have never been to a drag race, I'm telling you, you are missing out because it is an experience that you will never, ever forget. And that's how I got hooked on it. It was her first, but I got hooked on all the experiences of being at an NHRA drag race. It's way different than anything in motorsports that you can ever experience. And like Leah said, when you buy your ticket, that is your pit pass. You can go be in front of the cars, in front of the drivers, see everything that's going on, and that's access you don't get at IndyCar races, NASCAR races. It's a once in a lifetime experience.
And that access does change it because we went to the Chicago NASCAR race where through Barstool we had great access.
Yeah, we were in
and being able to be like you're looking right down on, you're walking by and seeing everything how it works. I did have one more question before we wrap up. I don't know how you find like the pit crew and all these people. I feel like you have to go to NASA to get people, especially for you. You guys are sitting in a rocket.
It's all football players, dude.
Whoa, no.
Well,
that's
the
what we're on
NASCAR
their
side,
side.
yeah.
NASCAR side, it's like all college football players.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, all the
yokes.
pit crew guys like the jack man, the fuel guy, the tire carriers.
Is it just
tire
because you need to
changers.
be all yoked up and like jacked?
Well, they got to be athletic.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and especially nowadays. I mean, unfortunately, with the rule package with NASCAR, the competition is so close and tight that it's hard to pass cars. When they're all running the same speed, it's hard to pass anybody.
Yeah.
So literally, those guys on pit road and those athletes that have, they were great college players, but may not have made it to the pros. They got to go somewhere, and there is definitely a place for them in NASCAR. And so you get these guys, and they are awesome. I mean, I go by the gym, and I'm like at almost a jog. I'm walking as fast as I can walk by because I'm embarrassed. Like I look down at myself, and I look at these guys, and it's like you turn me upside down, I would look like them, but it's like I don't look like these guys, but they are. I mean, they're ripped, and these are guys that are running out there with cars running by and everything else. It's pretty impressive to watch these pit crews.
But on the other side, on drag racing, it's a lot more diverse about where people come from.
Okay.
I was actually a mechanic before I was driving professionally, and that's because I was going to the races in the sport already. But what people don't know, when at the drag races, the truck drivers are the mechanics, and those mechanics are working on the car at the races as well as at the shop. They're in charge of the maintenance of the vehicle, not just the race vehicle, but the vehicle vehicles that are on the road as well. They set up the pit area, they tear it down. So it's these 9 core members that do a lot more than what maybe the segregated ones are in other forms of motorsports. And yes, some do come from maybe Western Tech or UTI and some tech trade school, but most of them are, hey, do you love racing? Do you have a CDL? Are you responsible? And are you accountable and mechanically inclined? And send a resume in, because this is not for the faint of heart. You travel 52,000 miles a year on the road. You're away from your family a ton, just like many sports.
Yeah.
So that they're a lot more hardcore, but from a crew chief standpoint, that's where you pay your dues. You know, you start what we call diving, and that's doing the bottom end of the car and building short blocks to building heads to building superchargers to then learning to be maintaining the crew. So you're a car chief, and then you graduate from a car chief into a crew chief assistant position. All of this takes 10, 15, 20, 25 years before you even have a crew chief opportunity. So a lot of maybe a little bit more traditional way. And you do have to be borderline, like you got to be either really geeky or really know how these cars work, because there's nothing that really translates exactly, you know, from the street to what these 11,000 horsepower Hemis do.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, guys. Next time we see you, we'll be on the ranch eating chili. So
What about the races?
The races.
And the
too.
races.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to the races.
It's going in a couple of weeks.
We're gonna go to the races first.
That's our second day.
We're gonna win that, and then we're gonna go to the ranch for the chili
Perfect.
cook-off. And
Deal.
I'm gonna
Perfect.
win that too, so I'm gonna double up.
Love it.
perfect.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you one more time to Tony and Leah. Fun interview. I hope we get that invite to that mansion.
Would be nice.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Moving along here now. NHL draft lottery night did not go how we would have liked, but we have the number 2 pick. So
Yeah, they didn't move down at all. That's good. So I never, as the day went along, I got my hopes up, and then Butcher Gross tweeted out like the dry run, which had, I think, the Hawks picking 3 or 4, and Utah had jumped up to number 2. And when it got leaked last year, it ended up being bang on. So I was like, fuck. Okay. So then when they flipped the cards over, you know, and when they got to 6, Utah was 6. So I like stood, I was like, oh fuck, like that was fake. That was not the real thing. Like, here we go. We get Macklin Celebrini, and I wanted Celebrini so badly because he's ready for the NHL right now. There's rumors that the Sharks are still going to be so bad that they might just be like, do another year at BU. But if the Hawks got him, he would have come in right away, been their second line center. He's already good enough, like offensively and defensively at 18 years old to step into that role. You would have put your foot on the gas. So this whole thing where I'm like, go get Stamkos, go get Kane, go get whoever, like build a team. Because if you get him, he's a piece that allows you to really accelerate the rebuild because he's ready right away. And you could try to win while those guys are on their rookie contracts like they did the first time with Taves and Kane. There's nobody else like that in this draft, unfortunately, that's going to like push that. So now, like in my head, the timeline for the rebuild just got extended, you know, another year. Like you could still go out, they should still go out and get Bedard some genuine help, but it's not the end of the world to me if they don't get super aggressive this summer, which kind of sucks. But they're going to get an awesome player. So now, like, the real debate is to take the Russian kid, Ivan Demidov, who would be like kind of like a Kucherov guy from Tampa, or the defenseman from Michigan State, which is what I want. And I'm working on a blog right now, but do you guys remember the 2017 playoffs where the Hawks got swept by Nashville?
Mm-hmm.
The Hawks have an opportunity to build a decor like that because they already have Vlasic. He's already a top 5 defensive defenseman, 6'6", can skate. They have Rinzel coming. He might be the best skater in all of college hockey, 6'4", 200 pounds by the time he's in the NHL. Going to be a very good player. Korchinski, top, 7th overall pick a couple years ago, his rookie year. He'll grow and develop into a top 4. And this guy, Levshina, might be the best of them all. 6'3", 210, great skater, mean guy, just fucking bodies people all over the place, can play in the power play, play in the penalty kill. So you're going to have this situation where you're playing McDavid, McKinnon, like these top players, and no matter what, they're going to look out on the ice and see either Vlasic or Levshunov and be like, fuck, because that's like they're that type of player where it's like they're just very hard to play against, and you can have a top 4 of all elite guys that you're not going to be able to forecheck, you're not going to be able to break into the zone against. They're going to skate, they're going to hit, they're going to move the puck, they're going to be fucking great. And then you have Jones is in the third pair making $9 million. Okay, like that's like the dream.
That was literally my next question.
Yeah, so and that's if all goes to plan, that's how it'll be. And maybe they have an opportunity to move him or buy him out if necessary. I don't think that'll be a thing, but because that was a rumor kicking around that they're going to trade Jones for Mitch Marner, and we can talk about that too if you want. Mm-hmm. But it's like that to me is the right way to do it. Is like there are some inherent problems with taking a guy out of Russia, second overall. He's got another year left on his contract in the KHL, so he'd be going back to Russia next year. And then, like we've seen with other prospects, maybe he just re-signs in Russia. Now, there's reports that he wants to come to North America, but you just never know. You just never know. So then it's like, what, are we waiting 3 years? And then because of the whole Russia-Ukraine thing, they don't let Russians play in like the World Juniors or any of these tournaments, so you can't evaluate them against like the best players in their peers. So it's harder. Everybody, like even Kyle Davidson, he's just watching YouTube clips of Demidov the same way that I am. Like there's no real scouts being able to see them on the ice anywhere. They don't go to the pre-draft combine. So like he'll probably be a great player, but there are inherent risks with taking a Russian because of the way the world is now.
Well, this is to me, this is one of the first real tests Davidson's going to have, right?
Yeah.
Because you no longer have that ball on a tee with the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Boom. Just don't think, throw a Celebrini or Connor Bedard. Now it's like,
yeah,
you got to get a top tier player at the number 2 overall pick.
And there's guys there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
get the best one.
Right. Yeah. So but the debate is, do you get like Bedard, his running mate, and that would be Demidov, and like that could be fun, like that could be great, you know? Or do you get like, this is our fucking defenseman, now we got a top 4 that nobody wants to play against, that nobody can penetrate, nobody can forecheck, you're not going to be able to touch these guys. And there is the thing that the Blackhawks are missing is size and toughness and a mean streak. So like Vlasic is awesome, okay? He's not particularly mean, even though he's 6'6". Demidov or Levshinov, because he played for Michigan State last year, even though he barely speaks English. He like came over, played a year in the USHL. He's from Belarus, and played at Michigan State. And it was like he was a point per game guy as a defenseman, which is unheard of as a freshman. And then guys just like bounce off him. Like he just walks up and just fucking smokes people, and they like explode. And they're like, he's already just fucking chiseled. They say he's like the hardest worker on the team. Like I was reading an article about him, and they were like, yeah, practice ends, and then he just keeps skating, and then he's always working out. It's like the way that they describe like his day, I'm like, this guy just never goes to class. He just lives on the lives on the ice.
Going to class, he doesn't understand the professors.
Right.
As a guy who knows nothing besides this last 7-minute conversation, I'm on team Levshinov.
Levshinov, yeah.
I'm on team Levshinov.
And like,
I think like you shore up that whole side of the ice, like you shore up the D. You're gonna have guys. Chicago's a destination in general.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have guys that are gonna want to play with Bedard.
Right.
Like I think you're in a good spot to fix that
mm-hmm.
and like not worry about the other side.
Totally. And like it's so hard to find like genuine Norris type guys. Mm-hmm. It's like it's virtually impossible. Like the same guys win it over and over and over and over. And so if the Hawks can get a guy like that who, you know, like I said, you team him with the other 3 that they have with Vlasic, Korchinski, and Rinzel coming. It's like, holy fuck, like that's a nightmare to play against.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who people are saying like he might be NHL ready, like now, which I feel like reflex to like pump the brakes on that, because 18-year-old defenseman just like that just doesn't happen. But you never know. He's probably ready at 19. He's already got a man body. Like he's such a man body that there were scouts supposedly being like, "Are we sure his birth certificate's real?"
Lying,
right? Yeah, like he's actually like 22 or something playing college hockey. Yeah,
in baseball.
Right.
Yeah.
But I guess that all that is checked out. But like that gives you like the level. It's
right.
Like, this guy, like this can't be real. And it is like I am biased just because I'm he played Michigan State, so he was on the Big Ten Network all the time. And because the Hawks were so fucking terrible to watch this year, I watched a ton of Big Ten Network because Michigan had Nazar, Minnesota had Moore and Renzel. So I just watched, and then Michigan State was very good. So I just watched a lot of Big Ten hockey this year, and it's like he just always pops on TV. It's like, this guy's fucking awesome. And then they had a game, I can't remember if it was in the Big Ten tournament or the NCAA tournament, but it was like they were down late, and he just played like the entire end of the game. He played like 5 minutes straight to like close out the game. And he is like I believe that he is a truly special player. And if you're trying to build a winner, having 4 defensemen that make the other team just like roll their eyes, be like, fuck, like how do we match this?
Good way to do it.
I remember that Nashville series too. They
sucked.
just clogged up it was like heavy and slow, and it was annoying to watch.
So, but their D are so fast. So like the Hawks would try to like chip it in past them. They would lose every race. They turn around, they flick it off the glass, and then they would send their forwards out as like, it's basically just like alley-oop down the ice. But like the Hawks could not establish possession in the zone at all because
they were getting shut out like every game. I remember
smoked. Yeah. I don't think they scored a goal like the first, like more than 2 goals the whole series, and it was because those 4D, and those D, as great as they were, Ryan Ellis is 5'9". Subban is probably right about 6 feet. Like they're great skaters. They weren't like the physically imposing guys that the Hawks would be able to line up. Plus Seth Jones is 6'4". They have Del Mastro is 6'4", who would be probably the other 6 defensemen. So
what do you think of the broadcast in general?
I was at the barn.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a little bit better than last year when Kevin Weeks fucking leaked that the Hawks were like going into commercial break, and it was like, yeah, Columbus is 3rd, which let you know that the Hawks had moved up, so that they were either going to be 1 or so. Like that was a little bit interesting. I don't like the way that they do it. I don't know why the NBA and the NHL and teams the leagues that do the lottery just throw like all the balls in a lottery machine like Big Cat has downstairs at PMT Studio and let us watch all the balls like rattle around and pop up the tube. So I think that would be like more fun, but whatever.
I'm fine with that, but 2 things. I think we got to give you a little shit.
Why?
You didn't run it back at the same place where we had lottery luck last year.
Yeah, it was never going to happen. It was
I was, as a superstitious guy, I was like, I think you can't change. I think this is a Justin Reese's type deal.
No, it's not.
I think this is Justin's Reese's.
No, it's not. No.
I think it is.
I think Ed's got a point.
Yeah.
I know you would think that Ed's got a point.
I think we get Macklin Celebrini.
No.
I actually meant to ask you that. When you were on Wrigley Field, did you step on any lines?
No.
Are you sure?
I don't believe so. No.
Yeah. Yeah. So
no videos floating around of you stepping on the foul line?
Is there? There might. I mean, not to my knowledge. Why? Who sent me a video? Someone sent you a video of me stepping on a foul line?
Maybe.
Oh, maybe I did.
So the other part of this equation with they need forwards for Bedard. Nazar is coming. I don't know like what his ceiling is, but he looks like he's an offensive player. Moore is going to come. They also have the 20th pick, and they have 3 second-rounders. If there's a guy that they love at, say, 10, and the Hawks have the Tampa's pick from the Hagel trade from a couple years ago, they can package 20 and a second or something, Lucas Reichel, I don't know, making things up. But they have enough ammo to pick the guy they want at 2 and then go up and get, if Caden Lindstrom slips or if there's just, I don't know who else it would be as a forward that would be there in like the 10 to 12 range. But that's something that I believe will be on the table. Because eventually, like there is a thing as having too many picks and too many prospects because you only have one minor league team. You have your varsity, which guys are under contract. And so eventually, like guys, they've signed a ton of guys from the previous drafts who are all going to go to Rockford next year. Eventually, like you have to have spots for guys to play in the American Hockey League. So like, I don't know if they can just make all of these picks. And you also don't want an NHL team of all guys, under 22 years old.
Right,
so, so I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to package something to move up. And the guy that I would really love, you guys remember Jerome McGinley? His kid is projected to be in that 10 to 12.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
that'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be great. So get a Ginla, get Levshinov, and let's fucking go. It's like, so next year, like when I was dreaming, like they could be, in the mix for a wild card. I think that that's probably off the table now. But the following year, we all should be ready to go and have like a very, very good team.
And then so I guess two things. One, I want to get into that Marner for Seth Jones thing. But two, the broadcast. I don't like how they had Macklin Celebrini essentially the whole time on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of awkward.
Typically, they have the top 3. So they have the top 3 picks, and they kind of like ping pong around questions, and it's not just so awkward with the one kid, and that makes it easier. But when the top kids are Demidov in Russia, Lushinov speaks no English or virtually no English, and it's just like, and then everybody from like that would be projected to go 4 to 10. There's like a lot of fluidity, so it'd be weird to like pick one of those. So
yeah, but I like, regardless, and people were like giving Buccigross shit. Like, I don't know what he could have done. Like, Macklin Celebrini is obviously a young kid. He's not media trained. Like, it's not Macklin's fault either.
Yeah.
Like the Zillow joke, like he had no idea. It went over his head. And it was kind of funny, kind of endearing for him for sure. Like, what's Zillow?
Yeah.
And people are like, how the fuck does he not know? It's like, dude, were you
It's not
17.
his fault. He should have known what fucking Zillow is at 17.
Did you know his dad works for the Golden State Warriors?
Saw that too. They talked about
like,
that.
He'll be in the Bay Area.
But I just thought them putting that kid on an island the whole time,
crazy.
Like, they should have had a segment with him for sure. But the whole time was
and like he
nuts.
did like, what do you call it, the car wash. So he was on NHL Network on their like afternoon show, which I caught a little bit of that, and like, you know, that's more of like a round table, kind of more casual, and he like did very well, and they were just asking him, you know, they're not really supposed to say like where they want to play, and he was like, you know, they asked, and he was like, man, like I can't remember like how it came up, but he was like just talking about like how he grew up watching Taves and Kane, like those are his favorite players. Chicago seemed so awesome, and I was like, getting all like, oh my balls.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was fucking. I was like, god damn.
He said he grew up a Canucks fan.
Yeah, because he was from, but like, because that's where he was from.
Yeah.
But like that, like the Hawks, I swear every young player, when they ask like, oh, who's your favorite player, they all say Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
They all say Patrick Kane. And because they were winning and they're fun and they were cool. Like, and that's the thing I feel like is missing. Like, I don't think the Blackhawks, this current regime, they don't know how to be cool. Like, they're not cool. And they're just kind of, they're like, even like Bedard is awesome, but like he's a little boring as a personality type. And he's young. He's very young. Same thing. But that's just not like I think if Taves were not surrounded by that group of personalities, where like Buffalo's big personality, Versteeg's sharp, all those guys, Kane, like he would have come off that way too. And I don't even think that's a bad thing. But like the Hawks are like this group, and the way that they present them, and the way that the things that, you know, they're just a little bit boring. So like Macklin, like, you know, when he was, I think it was the Bean Pot. You know what the Bean Pot is? Like they interviewed him post game, and he was like all hyped because they won. He's like, yeah, fucking right. You know, like he's just like more of like I don't know. He's like an easy guy to love, and he does everything perfect. So it would have been great, but they're in a great spot. They're in a great spot. It's just disappointing that I won't be able to be like cracking the whip on the internet, being like, go get these guys so we can win on this rookie contract, and be competitive while they're on this rookie contract. So that probably won't happen, but they're going to be a good team. They have the pieces, and I really trust and like what Kyle and his team are building. So whatever they do, I'll probably be fine with, because I can't like sit here and be like, Demidov is not the guy. I don't fucking know. But Levchinov he's special. So
and we talked a little bit off the podcast. You're not pro this Mitch Marner trade?
No. So
even that they like came back in the series?
Not because of him. So Marner's just a little bit soft, and that's just the way it is. It sounds harsh to say, but like he is. He doesn't win any board battles. That team is kind of stuck where they have 50% of their payroll is tied up in 4 guys, and they scored more than 2 goals one time in the series. Marner did virtually nothing. Zach Hyman, who was with Toronto, now he's with Edmonton. Zach Hyman has more playoff goals this year, or the same amount of playoff goals this year, than Marner has in his entire career. Like Marner, he does a lot of things great. He's a very good player. I don't want to do that trade. He makes 10.9 now, so he makes more than Seth Jones now. Not that it matters, because the Hawks have the lowest payroll in the league, but he only has 1 year left on his deal.
Yeah.
So then if you make that trade, Marner's going to be like, all right, and he's a UFA, unrestricted free agent. So then you'd be like, what? You're going to give him 12? You're going to give that guy $12 million a year for 8 years? Like, sorry, no.
Yeah,
like,
but then he could just stop. You could just get out of it and you're done. If if that 1 year he doesn't perform.
so then you think it's worth it to just
I think if
get
they,
rid of the 9.5?
if they don't really deem Seth Jones part of the future because he was stand signing, he was
Yep.
not this regime, and they go with this Michigan State kid and they're like, hey, we got our top 2.
Yeah.
I think it could make sense. I know what you mean, but Marner, like, and I'm also on the side of Marner. We're like, he's so fucking skilled.
Yeah.
Like picturing him on a line with Bedard, like,
I mean, he's pretty smart.
fucking awesome
Yeah.
things could happen. You know?
Or you could have balance where you actually have a second line that can do something
Yeah.
as opposed to nothing.
Exactly.
But the thing, Seth Jones is 29 now. He's got 5 years left on the deal, so he'll be done at 34 in theory. The cap's going up. That 9.5, I mean, you can basically in your head, again, they have the lowest payroll, so it's not like it's preventing him from doing anything this year. But like, it's just not going to be that big of a deal. And as great as those 4 guys are, do you want to have your entire defense be guys like, even when the Hawks were rolling and they had the youth of Keith and Seabrook, Hjalmarsson, they still brought in Brian Campbell, like, and he had a reduced role here than what he had been used to, but they still had veteran guys. And like, you can't just have all babies out there like learning how to play. Like you do need an element of leadership and like professionalism. And Seth Jones, people hate him, and I think the hate is he's not worth 9.5. I didn't hate the trade because I thought he would help for one last playoff push, and it just didn't work. But he's not a bad player. He's just not worth 9.5. But he's still, if he's in your top 4, you're very happy about that. And but I hope that these other guys that they have are so good that they can ask Seth Jones, be like, look, you're going to be in the third pair, you'll be on the second power play, and you'll kill some penalties, and then you're going to be like the statesman of this group, like you're the leader of this group.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not advocating for it necessarily.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought.
It is, and then it's like it would like
that it does smell like Toronto media bullshit to me, though.
For me, it would start and end with like the kind of back channeling stuff Davidson would have to do with what type of guy Marner is. Like, if he's a good like locker room guy, because he's been in leagues in 2016, so he could be that veteran presence too.
He's one of those guys that like his dad's a problem too.
Oh, really?
Marner is, yeah. Like you can see like
there's
like videos of like the dad, like there's baggage there.
Why wasn't my kid hitting leadoff?
Or like it's like weird shit. Like
it would
dig it up, but
it would start and end there for me.
Yeah. The other thing that's complicated about that potential trade, both of those guys have full no trade clauses. So you'd have to like pursue the trade, go to Jones's agent, go to Marner's agent, get both of those guys to agree, and then it's like they both, and then if one of them says no, and it's like, oh fuck, like you want like Seth Jones. Let's say Seth Jones says yes and Marner says no. Then like you already had the approval from Jones, and then it's like, well, now you just pissed off a guy who's supposed to be like one of your premier players, you're one of your leaders for this young group, and like it's just like a sticky situation that I wouldn't even really pursue it.
Yeah, I could see both guys saying yes though.
I could too.
If like he's such under scrutiny there, and people are just like, because it's such a rabid fan base in Toronto. And he's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm going to do 1 year with Chicago, then I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
I've had enough. And then Seth Jones, like I'm sure this hasn't been a fun couple of years.
How could it be?
Yeah.
Yeah. How
like
could
he's
it be?
Back in the he's playing with John Tavares. He's playing with Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
Like
meaningful hockey.
Yes, there's a lot to like.
And they need help on defense. Like that's why like I think the people on the internet have been running with it, because it's like they're all kind of at the point where they're like, fuck Marner, and they need help on defense, and it's like, oh, let's go get Seth Jones. So I like Seth. I like him in a reduced role, and it's like if you give away a valuable guy during the rebuild for 1 year of Marner, and it's like, but then that might be best case scenario, because it's like I don't want 8 years of Marner, so I'd rather just kind of stay the course and hope that because they've had a ton of second round picks. Second round picks can pop, so hopefully a couple of those guys pop over they have this 4-year period where they got a gazillion high draft picks. So you hope all your first round picks are good players. You hope you have a couple of the other later round guys pop, and then you supplement it with free agents and trades, and and you're off the races. But it is like kind of scary to look at the Toronto situation because they did get the generational guy in Matthews. They got a great supporting guy with Nylander and Marner. Marner's super talented. And then you go out and get your Marian Hossa type guy, a big free agent acquisition in Tavares, and it just does not work. And you're fucking boxed in, and you know exactly what your ceiling is, which is losing in the most years the first round. Last year they got to the second round, and that's all they've ever done. That is the nightmare scenario that I'd rather have, like the cap flexibility, the assets, and just like I like the guys that they have in the pipeline. It looks like no one really, like Renzel was like a lottery ticket, a scratch ticket kind of player, kind of draft pick that they traded back into the first round to get. And I think it's one of those things, like if you were to do a redraft, he's not there at the end of the first. Like he's gone in in the top 10 or 15. So like they have like the picks that they've taken, they're looking like you're not like wondering, oh, I hope he works out. They're all like exceeding expectations at this point in their development. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Exciting
A lot of
times.
good stuff there.
Exciting times.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's kind of it. Besides the Bears making their rounds around town at the Sky game, at the Cubs games, great to see the boys vibing.
Yeah. No, I think the Bears are cool.
Yeah.
The Bears.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Like they've never really. Have they ever been cool?
Yeah, I mean, like
when were they cool?
When
Hester was cool.
After that 2018, when Mitch and Kyle Long were slugging beers at the White Sox game.
Yeah,
there was a cool minute.
But like even
this is a minute. We don't know how.
But like the Mitch thing, like even in that moment, you're like, we hope that he can develop into being like a top 15 guy. Like that was like the dream, because everybody even after that year where they went 12-4 and won the division, the double doink, everyone was like, man, this guy's not that good.
Yeah. But
like with Caleb, it feels different, and like
it's different.
We got the Australian punter we had on last week. He's cool. Montez Sweat, cool.
Keenan Allen.
Dude, DJ Moore's got like a cool presence to him. Cole's like this, like, sophisticated local guy, handsome. Like they're just like a cool, like they got like
seems like they
got a presence about them.
They I forget who.
Do you want Hard Knocks? You guys want Hard Knocks?
I do. Yes, I absolutely do.
Fun.
I was talking to someone about this yesterday. I guess the word was it on our show? Vibe. Makes you an old now.
Makes you like an old millennial. Yeah. If you vibe on it.
But the vibes seem just awesome with these guys.
It's exciting. It's
good.
Yeah.
And we do know how it's gonna go, Ed.
All right,
be very successful.
Believe.
All right, then. That's it. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks for watching. Thank you to Tony and Leah for coming on. We'll see you guys next week.